Alright. Welcome back to Kamen Review, episode 229. That's why 28. Correct? 28, right? Yeah, 28. So here we're reviewing the second and final of the Kamen Rider Double Returns movies, Kamen Rider Eternal, where it's more like a prequel and sequel to the show itself. Well, it's a prequel to A to Z, I think it was like Giga Memories, Giga Memories. So, yeah, for this movie is quite interesting. I heard this movie was a prequel to that movie. I thought maybe I should have watched it before I watched it, but after watching this movie, I realized, though, yeah, probably shouldn't have watched it. The thing is, I think watching it after that movie makes total sense. Because, of course, the movie opens with, well, let's point out, though, we have Double encountering, finding a guy known as the Sweet Man. Well, here's the thing about this guy. This first Deathbot they're fighting, his uniform is the film's screenwriter. Which is interesting. Second in a row, and we have the screenwriter making a cameo. And not just any screenwriter, this guy was the screenwriter, this guy was the writer for the Kamen Rider Double show. And makes a cameo in this movie. I guess they want to follow up with that idea. Okay, fine. So, this movie begins after and all of a sudden we have this woman named Mina show up, who is a telekinetic. Who used the ability to try to crush Double, but then she's able to be stopped thanks to Akko. Also, no Axel here. No Axel. Yeah, he's not here for some reason. Despite the fact he did play a role in the previous movie. Yeah, he is not here at all. It is just Double and Ayako. And they're like the only people from the Double show to appear in this movie. At least Excel felt like an actual follow-up to the show. This one feels like a side story. So, they explain Katsuma, that's the guy who's Kamen Rider Eternal. They explain a little more detail of the backstory. It was briefly mentioned in the previous movie. So, now is this after the movie? No, not immediately after the movie, no. The main reason why, because Fuku Tower has been fully rebuilt. So I'd say this is, I'm guessing at this, probably just after the final episode. So you could probably say this movie is set between the end of the show and Kamen Rider and the Kamen Rider 7, which is the movie preceding this one. Because there's no mention of Ayako being married, there's no mention at all. No one even raising your hand. So, I am presuming that this is set before that movie. So, they explain, like, okay, so, the whole thing they mentioned that Katsuma, that's the main villain of the movie, where he got originally killed in a traffic accident. Actually, you show it. And apparently the young version of him is played by Philip's actor. Yes. Not really sure why. It's just maybe because he was available, and plus because I'm guessing at this, he probably kind of looked. Now, they do get an explanation why he looks the way he does. Why he looks. That's why he probably hasn't been dead very long. Like, he's son of the woman Maria. Like, why he looks the way he does. Why he looks like he's a little bit older than. Well, he's about close to the same age as the one who plays his mother. Well, the explanation is because of the serum in his body keep aging him up. Like it actually ages him up. Okay, so that's an explanation for that. Of course, his mom made the serum to revive him after he previously died. And then we see him recruiting various people. We see Reiko, where she was an escapee who died, then she brought back. Of course, the guy who she first was the creepy old man. Katsui. Kamen says she has a really good body, which I agree with that. She looks gorgeous. Yeah, there is no denying the fact that someone looks very pretty. Yeah, no denying that at all. At the time this movie came out, currently she's 40 right now, but I think at the time she was like 20, I think when the movie came out, she was 26. So I'm assuming she probably shot this when she was still 25. But yeah, there's no denying the fact that she looks very pretty. No denying it at all. That was actually released in 2010. So yeah, still 25. So yeah, I think the comment was correct. Yeah, though it's not the first time that the character is referred to as very pretty. Yeah, and yeah. Oh, that's cool. So, yeah, so, and also for some reason that he comments on his chest because he thinks he's a woman. A little slightly different interpretation than he was depicted in the actual movie itself. Also, he has this collar on his neck where it's a collar that women would wear. I don't remember him actually wearing this collar in the movie. This must be like an original thing because he didn't wear it in the movie that I remember. So, and then we see how everybody else is recruited, where he was a gangster who wore a suit, and he was killed because, well, the gangsters turned on him. And what about the others? Well, Ken, he apparently looks like he was some police officer who was killed. We had a picture in his hand, and he got recruited right away. Gonzo was a protester who protested, he was who basically was a eco-friendly person, and then he got recruited into Never. And they're tasked to go to this country in Southeast Asia, which they don't name this country because I'm sure it's probably shot somewhere in Japan. But they go in, kill all the soldiers in over the top fashion, and he's so funny where he basically commentating his own match. He's commentating his own fights, which I got actually kind of now him doing this was actually quite funny. Like all the arm bars, all this, it's so funny. And then of course, then there's this guy who shows help me, and then he's killed by mine. And of course they do in fact stop her, and then all of a sudden we have the wall bust down in this very unsafe place. And we see two individuals who have fur on their shoulders, who are referred to as quarks. They're the ones with telekinesis. So, woman Shion is played by Sani Himati, who is a suit actress, who actually was, get this, suit actress for Geki Yellow from Geki Ranger, and also for Shuriken Pink from Shuriken Ranger. And she also appeared as Thief Lily in episode 36 of Geki Ranger. Yeah, you actually hear her as a thief, which I thought that was quite cool. Yeah. And she's only 43, but she looks very stunning. Yeah. Of course, she also a previous period in these movies I have seen, which is Decade, All Writers, Die Shocker, All Writers vs. Die Shocker. She appeared in as the Heat Depot. Yep, she appeared as that. The O's Deno All Kamen Attack. The Fourze O's movie, Tension movie, is Gokai Yellow. The Fourze movie and Tension. So, if you think about it, I pretty much have seen almost all of his appearances in which he does her suit stuff, except for the Cho Deno trilogy. V Cinema, yeah, I pretty much got all that done. For TV, Decade, Double, O's, Fourze, just not Exa yet. Yeah, that guy Lloyd, who shoots off fire. And he is played by, I kid you not, the actor who played Alba Red, Yukito Senjo. Actually, no, he was, not red, he was blue. Yeah, he was blue. Alba blue. I thought it was red. My mistake. Now, in the case of Kamen, this is like the only thing he's ever done for Kamen. The only thing. Because, mostly put, he just works with Sentai. Yeah, it seems as though he just did. He just worked a little bit of Sentai stuff where he was an Alba Ranger, of course. He also was a character in Kira Major. Yeah, pretty much a minor character in Kira Major. So, yeah. Yeah, they fight them and then they knock out, of course, Katsumi. And him, Amina, and Rika are taken to this facility referred to as the village. And I'm like, this is not a village. This is just a series of tents that looks in really. I'm not going to blame the writing for this particular scene. I'm going to blame this on the production, where apparently it looks like they probably didn't have enough money to actually make something for these people to live in. And it looks like it could have been cold. And the guy who runs this place is called Dr. Prospect, who has eyes everywhere. And apparently, get this, he apparently has played all these people who got telekinetic powers with these eye tattoos in the middle of their damn foreheads. And he, of course, is a Deathbot. Of course he is, because it's Kamen Rider Double. And he is the Eyes Deathbot. Also, before this, on the beach, before he is taken, he gets in a fight with a Kamen Rider Eternal, who turns out to be June of Foundation X. Yeah, this movie is actually his earliest, his flashback is his first chronological appearance in Double. Yep. June Katsu. Yeah. And believe it or not, this is actually his sole movie he ever appeared in Double. He did also return for O's and all Riders with Kamen Riders. He apparently appeared in a flashback for movie Mega War Max, which is awesome. But he did make one other appearance. You're like, where? Apparently he did pop up for like the final episode of Zio. Yeah. He did return there. So, and of course, Katsumi doesn't like the place so he beats people up. And eventually he does get people to escape, of course. And then eventually, as for his team itself, well, three of them anyway, the three guys, they basically worried about him. And they get relief from Maria, of course. He gives him a serum. And they give a task to Retsu Katsuma and Rika, of course. And so then they bust in the facility after the security is disabled by Katsuma, of course, while fighting. Well, first he fights Utopia. Well, here's the thing. So he calls off for Eternal, and then Eternal is happening in his briefcase. So he grabs that, transforms. He gets a little extra boost because before, when June was Eternal, it was just a plain white suit. Here it's like it's got a cape, got like almost like he's basically preparing for war, and he disables Utopia. Don't worry, they say, oh, he's dead. I should point out, though, he is alive in Double. The explanation in that one, why he... So, in Double is mentioned that, of course, they do reference the movie in the show, where he is not technically a member of Never. He did take the same formula. So, he actually is undead. So, that... You could say this movie does give an explanation of how he got the way he was, which fine. And they remember, they do have the resource at the facility. It's like they cut the funding for Never. Oh, by the way, when they discover flashback when they establish, they got funding for Never, and Katsuma's like, it's not over. So then, of course, basically he proceeds. Then he battles Eyes, which then he ends up killing all they call them psychics, basically people who have telekinesis, and then he battles them and beats him, and does a mirror break, of course, and then of course Dr. Prospect kind of dies. But here's the weird thing: all those, and of course he comes with an idea. Our goal is Fuko, Futo, his hometown. So that leads him into the movie, which they have a flashback for that, and then of course Mina just wakes up after being dead. She never got the Never formula inside her. Of course, Rika did suggest it, but Katsuma said no. Maybe he suspected she was alive, and then she wakes up in the hospital. She still got the harmonica, and that's it. Quite interesting movie, yes, and it's a movie that's. Here's the weird thing about this movie. Now, the previous movie, Kamen XL, that was an hour and 10 minutes. This is an hour and 15 minutes. Only 5 minutes longer, which was interesting to say the least. So it's slightly longer, but not by much. Of course, yes, next appearance of Double will be in that O's Fourze movie, which I'm going to watch that next. After, of course, I get done a couple of anime, because next up is going to be Let the Grievance Retire, and then Case Closed, and then I'll come back to this. But the movie itself was actually surprisingly really good. Yes, of course, the characters of Never, I'm pretty much done with them, because I've got both appearances done. But in the case of its release for Double, was this the last one officially to review that I hadn't seen yet? The answer is yes. Because pretty much in a way, when it comes to movies, I'm all done. Yep, for Double, it's all done. Yeah, just a couple movies afterwards, and that was it. Though he does appear in another movie featuring him. Though yes, there's also still the manga for. Yeah, there's still the manga for Double, which is Futo Tani. Yeah, and the anime. Am I gonna watch and am I gonna read the manga and review the anime? Yes, I am. I most certainly am. Now, I mean, should I watch? So I watched the movie. As much as I really want to watch the movie, well, I'll probably get the same result. I mean, the movie itself is fantastic. Movie War Max. It's a movie that everybody should definitely watch. Yes, the movie is excellent. Tension itself, which of course does feature Double. Yes, I have you for Sentai. The movie itself is interesting to say the least. Though I think one of the problems with it is the whole thing with O's, where it kind of ignores. It's more a fan service, this movie, what it is. But the movie itself is actually pretty fun. Oh yeah, it's fun. So, yeah. And the whole thing with Double does not really play a role in the movie at all. His appearance is nothing more than a cameo. Yeah, that's literally what it is. It's just a cameo. But Mega War Max. This one, he does play a role, and one of the things I appreciate about the movie is Fourze's character, who is Gentaro. He refers to Shotaro as Senpai in the movie. And the movie itself, I thought it was a really... he basically, I have a junior now. Now, he doesn't call O's that, because him and O's are close to the same age, even though the O's did precede him per se, but I think in the case of why he referred to Double as Senpai, is because the primary reason why he did that, because out of universe, Double was the first series under Heisei Phase 2. So, as much as I really want to watch these movies, I've technically viewed them already. So, but in the case of what my thoughts are on the movies themselves, in the case of Movie War Max, just watch my review for this one. Let me look up and see when I reviewed it. Let's see. Because I reviewed this one a while ago. Because the first story is an epilogue to O's, where he finds the whole thing with Anka's arm. Excuse me, yes. Because I know I reviewed it when I reviewed O's. O's, Fourze. I'm trying to look up and see exactly when it was I reviewed it. Let's see. O's I reviewed last year, which is awesome series. So, okay, here we go. Fourze. So, if you want to ask me, what episode did I review Movie Max? Okay, so I recommend looking up the two-part 133 and 134. That's my review for that one. Yep. Now, at the time when it comes to tension, when I originally watched that movie, I was not overly familiar with a lot of the Kamen villains. Now, the only villain I did recognize was Count Drago's counterpart. And since I've seen the movie, the movie itself is a lot of fun, yes. And it does feature a return of a lot of the classic writers, like Dino, Decade, The End. Decade was kind of originally the main villain of the movie, and The End basically kind of usurped it because reasons. And at the time, I wasn't, like I said, in the case of when I reviewed Tension, I reviewed it back in 2021. I reviewed it for Sentai. And at the time, I had not seen all the Sentai that were involved with this crossover. Since I've seen this movie, all of the Sentai teams that appear in the movie, Go Ranger, basically all of the Sentai teams that basically appear in the movie, I have seen all their series now. So I'm very much new with them. Denno Liner, the Denno stuff, I've only seen one of their movies, and I've seen this movie, obviously. They're overall really fun, Denno. Of course, I've also seen Go Busters. I do think, basically, now, yes, the one thing interesting about this movie is that Decade, the guy who is Decade, he brings back his jacket from All Riders vs. Die Shocker for this movie, because the movie itself is a loose follow-up to that. Yeah. And pretty much in a way, now, the thing with some of the characters in the movie, I wasn't overly familiar with them, but now that I've seen a lot of these stuff, I am very happy I saw them. So, okay, so for my review for Commander X, Commander Fourze and O's Mega War Movie Max, it's a two-part movie. I had to basically split it in half because dinner was generated at that point. So look up episode 133 for my review for that one. For Super Sentai, those are what I think I might get out of reviewing it. Kind of yes, because I have technically reviewed it already, and I did review this movie like, oh my gosh, like 5 years ago. So I'm looking up right now what episode it was. So for this movie that I was going to review next, which I've reviewed already, look up episode 133, which was about 2 years ago. That's where you can find my thoughts on the movie, which movie is awesome, by the way. And now that I've seen the stuff that basically, now that I've seen, O's and now Double. Of course, O's and Double are two series I really want to get into because O's I was really into because I liked the whole story that was shown in that movie. This is something I had not seen O's at that point, but now since I have, it's definitely a movie I definitely recommend. Like if you want basically a good time to watch it during watch it. Here's the thing. So watch that movie when you finish O's and while you're working on Fourze. Yes. Alright, here we go. So, okay, it was not 2020, it was actually May 2020. It was episode 18. That's basically fine. It's an old episode, 2020. Outside World was not a very good time at that point, but review-wise, that's why I reviewed it, because I had mentioned at that time that I was not familiar with a lot of the villains. Now I am. And do I myself still enjoy Super Attention? I've seen it a couple times. I've seen it like once or twice since then. In my opinion, it's a fun movie. Absolutely fantastic. Would I recommend watching it? Yes, definitely. And kind of in a way, this movie got me introduced into Kamen Rider. Yes. Officially, anyways. This was the first thing Kamen Rider really I had ever watched. I had not considered reviewing Kamen Rider at that point. But now that I am basically about 228 episodes in. So, I was thinking of that next, but I figured though, I reviewed these movies already. I was thinking maybe reviewing my channel, but I figured though, I have videos on my channel already. So one more time before I close this video out, for my thoughts on Kamen Rider X, Kamen Rider O's, and Fourze Movie War, Mega Movie War Max, look up episode 133. In the case of Super Attention, look up episode 18 of Super Sentai Review. That's a recommend. Yeah, the movie came out 6 years ago, basically almost 6 years ago, but that's where you can find it. So, yeah. So there's that. So that is pretty much it for the video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. So the next time I review Kamen Rider will be Zex, and afterwards, well, for now anyways, it's just Zex right now until when I start up 01. And so, and starting, I would say tomorrow, maybe tonight after I finish up my anime, I will start watching Rider Soldier. Alright? I made my decision when it comes to that, so I will see you next video, which will be Let This Give Me So Retire. Okay? Next video. Bye.